What is going on, everybody? It is the Going Over Big Time podcast once again, and I am Mike Charlip, and I am joined by my good friend Tanner Pruitt, the Texas gentleman. Today
How's it
we are
going,
going
everybody?
today we are going to be talking about AEW Double or Nothing 2024. This was a roller coaster of a show. I had a good time for majority of it. Um,
Yeah, it was good. I mean, it wasn't. There were some good things, some not so good things. Things we'll likely talk about.
yeah,
It's gonna be all good.
yeah, and we're recording this a week out of the show, uh, so we will also discuss some things that happened after that are kind of questionable. Not kind of, are very questionable.
Yeah, I mean, usually
Uh,
when there's fallout from a show like this, it's likely that there's gonna be some repercussions of some sort.
yeah. Um, so overall, um, I enjoyed the show. But we'll get right into the matches here. So the pre-show matches, or the buy-in as they call it in AEW, was the first one was actually very good, and I kind of wish it was on the main show. It was Deonna Purrazzo taking on Thunder Rosa,
Mm.
and this was their second match together. The first match was won by Thunder Rosa. This one was a lot of great, just technical wrestling, which is the kind of stuff that we like here. And Deonna Purrazzo is just so good. Thunder Rosa is just so good, and Deonna Purrazzo has gone more into like a heel character, which she is definitely better at playing than a baby face. Um, because she just comes off as just like, I'm a better than you wrestler, like nobody's better than me between the ropes kind of person. And it's partially true. I mean, there's no, I don't think there's a women's wrestler who's as good of a technical wrestler as her. Um,
Yeah, I can't think of one personally. I think that she's very, very good. With just a very, very well-rounded skill set too. I mean, a lot of people think
yeah.
about just the submission work when it comes to Deonna Purrazzo, but it's so much more too.
And I just love that she's able to adapt to like her surroundings, and like, because she's always done a Fujiwara armbar, but
Hmm.
knowing that there is a guy that we're going to talk about later that does that very frequently, who's kind of like the biggest star on the show,
Hmm.
she alternates it into a double Fujiwara armbar, and it's called the Venus de Milo, and it's just one of the coolest submissions that I've seen ever. Like,
Hmm.
and you've never seen it before, as far as I know. I'm pretty sure she's the first to do it, but if there is somebody else, I don't know. But and she's just so seamless with her transitions and everything that she does. And the same goes for Thunder Rosa. Thunder Rosa, I don't think gets enough credit for how good she is at
Hmm.
the same thing, really. Um, she has more of a high flyer uh s- stuff to her ability, but she is also very good at the ground, and she has that MMA background also.
Hmm.
So I think that's why people don't give her enough credit for how good she is at the mat game, at the you know seamless transitions as well. And this was just a very fun wrestling match, and I could see these two face each other a billion times.
Yeah, very good. Very good match. I didn't see it live originally, so I had to go back and try and find it.
Yeah.
But yeah, solid match. As you said, I would have put it on the main card. for sure. Maybe could have taken the place of something else.
Yes.
Or definitely could have, depending on, another time, another situation,
Or I would have had
with
it
perhaps higher stakes.
main event a Collision or main event a Dynamite. Like
Well,
that like
that's yeah, that's what I was gonna say was like depending on like the situation, if either one of Rosa or Perazzo had a title, this could definitely be main eventing something.
yeah, for sure. But yes, Deanna got the win with a dirty pin. She used the ropes,
Mhm.
which is just part of her, being more of a heel and adapting to the situation type of thing. And I'm sure they're going to do this again at some point because it's 1-1. So I'm sure they're going to want to have a rubber match. So, and I won't complain when it happens. I will be very excited to see it again.
Well, good. It should be a good match whenever it pops up again next. So, we should all be
Yeah.
very excited.
The next match is one of the questionable ones. And it, all right. So these two teams have kind of been going at it for a little while.
Mm,
And it's the acclaimed and daddy ass Billy Gunn taking on the Cage of Agony, which is the Gates of Agony and Brian Cage. Um, so these two teams have been going at it, whether it's standard tag or a singles match, for like a couple of weeks. The acclaimed kind of needed something to do after losing the trios belts,
hmm
and the Gates of Agony and Brian Cage just turned on the world champion after being in his faction for so long and then not being around him for like the last 5 months.
hmm
um, so the fact that the acclaimed won this match was very questionable to me because I feel like it's time to put the acclaimed on the back burner right now. Like,
Yeah. It I do get the sense that with everything that's gone on just over the last 2 years alone, the acclaimed were riding a really, really big high, and now it seems like they're struggling to find things to do. They're a bit rudderless, a bit directionless.
yeah. Yeah, and I mean we talked about it at nauseum on this show about how they formed that group with Bullet Club Gold, and the whole reason was to take out the Undisputed Kingdom. And as soon as they got together, they never acknowledged the Undisputed Kingdom ever again.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Crazy.
like kind of weird and directionless. And obviously, we knew where it was going. It was leading to those two teams going at it for the belts, and the right team got the win. But to go to that, from that to this, and then what we're going to talk about later as far as like the post pay-per-view stuff is
Mm.
weird because the acclaimed are not at the level that they were popularity wise that they were 2 years ago. I was there when they won the belts at uh Grand Slam. It was the most over they've ever been. They should have
Mm.
won them at All Out that year, and they
Yeah.
pivoted, and they're not that anymore. I they're great guys talent wise. I mean, Max Caster has to change some things.
A little bit.
um Anthony Bones is easily the better wrestler.
Yes.
Um and I'm seeing too much Billy Gunn. Way too much Billy Gunn.
Yeah. I mean, I I think that Billy Gunn's like instantly recognizable. So if you're kind of a lapsed fan or somebody who hasn't maybe doesn't regularly tune into wrestling, maybe you're flipping through the channels and you remember the Attitude Era a little bit, maybe some of the early 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you're a really big Billy and Chuck fan. You
Yeah.
see Billy Gunn and you're like, oh, hey, it's him. And maybe that
Mm-hmm.
might draw you in a little bit. Um, but yeah, I mean, it it is hard to deny Billy Gunn, being in such great shape as he is at his age. But you have to wonder at what point is that more of him carrying the two of them through this lull than anything
Yeah.
else.
And I was certain that we were going to get to a point somewhat soon, but unfortunately, we have a similar storyline going on. That's probably a better storyline where one of these guys was going to turn on the other.
Mm,
And because if I was Anthony Bowens, I would want to just be a singles guy right now. But
yeah.
he's just he's too likable to be a heel. So I feel like obviously if that were to happen down the line, Max Caster would be the heel.
Hmm.
Um but who knows when that's going to happen because they just keep showing up in things as a team with no dissension, no nothing, just
Hmm.
winning matches that they shouldn't be winning, like this one. Um, and this match was fine. I have nothing against them as a group, and what they've done. It just felt like this was the wrong decision.
Sure. And, you know, uh, maybe what they need is a bit of an excursion. Maybe they need to go someplace else for a little while and,
Uh,
have some fun, go and do
yeah.
something in New Japan or Impact or,
Mm-hmm.
something somewhere else.
Yeah. I
Mhm.
fully agree. All right. So now we're gonna transition into the main card. And oh boy, did we start the main card off with probably the best match of the entire show. Uh,
Yeah, this is match of the night for me.
I mean, it's Roderick Strong defending the international championship against Will Ospreay. Now, to get here, we had a casino gauntlet, which Will Ospreay seems to be making a habit. And again, we'll talk about that later. But so he wins this casino gauntlet. At the time, we had no idea what a casino gauntlet was. It was just a gauntlet matches, and we find out it's a gauntlet match that we don't know who any of the participants are, and we don't know how many there are. People are
Hmm.
just going to keep coming out until somebody wins, which is a great concept on paper, and I think they make it work because they usually stop the match when there's like 7 or 8 people in there. Now that they've done it more than once, and I mean, it would be crazy if they let 20 people come out. But
True.
um, so Will Ospreay are in the shot right after his amazing, probably match of the year candidate with Bryan Danielson, and I was surprised, but not surprised because we talked about in the past about how it felt like they were going to build to Wembley because Will Ospreay, Wembley, and him facing Swerve there. Again, we'll have more about that later. But so Will Ospreay and Roderick Strong have one of Roderick Strong's best matches in years,
Hmm.
considering where he was for a while and not really getting the chance to showcase that. Um, yeah. Um, there was one scary spot that almost killed 2 people.
Yeah, they are you talking about the Rana spot?
No, the suicide dive doomsday.
Yeah, that one, the one that Osprey landed on his face and his head.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I got what they were going for, right? And
Hmm.
this is a move that I've seen the grizzled young veterans do to perfection.
Hmm.
But the reason that they do it to perfection is because the person doing the dive part doesn't try to dive over the top rope,
Yeah, yeah,
which
that's
was the problem here.
hmm hmm
um, Matt Taven is a great performer, a great wrestler. Doesn't have the hops to be doing this move
hmm
the way
Not
he
not
had
the
planned.
tallest of not the tallest of men.
No.
No.
So this was a very uh bad spot because Taven got his foot caught on the top rope as he's doing the dive. So he came up short on the dive, almost landed on his face. And Osprey, trying to save the move, does a backflip off of the Doomsday and almost lands on his head. So if they ever do this move again, he should not
It
dive over the top rope. He should do a suicide dive.
right. Uh, it really sucks seeing a spot like that because you do, you know, you obviously it's gonna look really cool, and I'm sure all three of them thought this is
Yeah.
gonna look really cool. Um, God, it, but it's such an easy move to screw up as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
and when they screwed it up, oh boy, did they screw it up. Yeah,
Yes.
they
But
nearly killed Will. Um, yeah, just stick to the suicide dive portion.
yeah.
Go through the ropes, not over.
Yeah. Um but this didn't hinder the match because the rest of it was great to almost
hmm
amazing.
hmm
Um, Will Osprey, of course, is probably the best wrestler in the world today, and Roderick Strong can be when he's given the opportunity to show it, like he did here. Um, but yeah, I think Will Osprey winning this belt was a sign of this Undisputed Kingdom stuff is not going as planned, and obviously injuries hindered that a lot. And the main story that they were supposed to be focusing on just couldn't happen. And so I think it was probably the best move to get this belt off of him
hmm
because we don't really know what the Undisputed Kingdom is going to be like until Adam Cole gets back. They're kind of directionless without him, which is upsetting because
Right,
all the guys are great, but Adam Cole's nowhere near being cleared.
right. And I think another issue here is there's so many heel groups that are supposed to be top heel groups right now.
Hmm.
Uh, like having another one is not. I don't think it's beneficial to any of the guys involved in the group. The whole Devils group was supposed to be the big thing. Um, at the end of MJF's tenure, we were all looking to see what was going to be the eventual um, destination for that being obviously MJF coming back and cleaning house, and we'll talk about that here, I would
Yes,
believe, momentarily.
yes,
But it's just it does feel like between the group with Christian, this Undisputed Kingdom group, um, the Don Callis family, now the Young Bucks group with Okada and Jungle Boy. It just seems like there's too much going on, and then we haven't even talked about the House of Black. So yeah,
yeah.
it's a bit
Th-
much at the moment.
There might, and I don't think having too many groups is an issue. I think having too many heel groups is an issue.
No, for sure. That's specifically
Yeah,
is the case. To having too many heel groups.
yeah.
Hmm.
Um, but yes, this match was very fun. What and I mean, Will Ospreay. Enough can't be said about how good he is. Um, but yeah, so he's the international champion now, and again, we will we will talk about what's going on with him later. Um, because I feel like we're both going to have things to say about that. Um, so after this match, uh, Adam Cole comes out
Aha.
in the Undisputed Kingdom has left the ring and are gone. And oh yeah, I forgot to mention that Wardlow showed up during that match and immediately
Mm,
got caught doing whatever he was doing and then just left.
mm.
So not really doing what he was hired to do. Um,
No. It, yeah.
um,
It seems to be a bit of an awkward fit for him in that group.
like most things that he's been doing recently.
Hmm. Hmm.
So Adam Cole comes out, his usual entrance. He's walking since Dynasty. He's walking on his own, no wheelchair, blah blah blah. And is about to cut a promo, and we get the lights out gimmick,
Hmm.
and we get this big video on the screen implying that this is MJF's house or something,
Yeah, or at
and
least a rental,
yeah.
that he
Uh
moved all his stuff into.
we see like his suit and then like all these pictures and the ring and all that stuff, and somebody walks up holding a cut up picture of Adam Cole, and the other side is MJF. And then his music hits and he comes out uh dressed like O2 return Triple H, which popped me.
Yes. Yes,
um
the denim on leather jacket
yeah,
look, yeah,
yeah. I mean,
super sweet.
obviously everybody who's like was around during our years coming up knew exactly what that was and popped for it like I did. And so he goes to the ring and Adam Cole has got like his arms out and he's like, "Oh, no hard feelings, blah blah blah, this that and the other thing." And they hug. And then
Hmm.
MJF immediately kicks Adam Cole in the balls and hits him with a brain buster because that was the only thing that they could do that would cause an more aggravation to his ankle, I guess. Uh,
Yeah, what do you think about MJF using a brain buster? I think
uh,
that's a
I
he
mean,
he
I wouldn't
he.
use it as a finish. I would use it more as like a setup move. But I would be fine with him if he used it more frequently.
It looked pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, most things he does looks good anyway.
Well,
So
that's true. Yeah.
so yeah, I my assumption was this was the only thing that they could do to make it look like something that Adam Cole could take for
Hmm.
now, because obviously they couldn't do like a full like beat down and whatever because Adam Cole is
Hmm.
still hurt, but or still healing.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, so he disposes of Adam Cole and basically tells him that he's done being people's friends. He's going to go back to the way things were. He's going to have more hate than ever, and
Yes.
nobody's on the level of the devil. Says that the mask represented the last part of 2023 that made him sick to his stomach, and stomps on it. Does the Ric Flair gimmick where he does an elbow to the inanimate object, and then
Mm,
spits on it and throws it into the crowd.
yes.
And then he says that as far as his contract status goes, he is calling himself the Wolf of Wrestling because he's not fucking leaving.
Yes. That is
And
what he said.
and that he has a tattoo that says "Bet on yourself," which seems to be an AEW catchphrase at this point.
Mm,
Um, because everybody's been saying that. Um, and yeah, I guess he's not going anywhere. He's staying, which I think was pretty evident by the fact that he was here in the first place. Um, but I mean, we don't know how long he's staying, but he's the fact of the matter is he's not going anywhere. And I've seen a lot of discussion about what this means going forward. It appears like they're pumping the brakes on the Undisputed Kingdom stuff with him and just waiting until Adam Cole is healthy.
mhm.
Um, so he's just gonna go off and do other stuff. Roosh challenged him to a match, so that's happening. I don't know when that's happening, but
Mhm.
I assume it's not a Forbidden Door. It's just gonna be on a Dynamite or something. But they followed that up by not having him on Dynamite,
Correct.
which
Correct.
which was odd. But they just showed video footage of the pay-per-view stuff.
It's, I mean, it's cool that that they at least acknowledged that he was back, right?
Yeah.
But he's right now, when I think about AEW's biggest stars at the moment, particularly as well when we're thinking about more of the homegrown talent, um, talent that you were not going to see, that you wouldn't have seen on WWE, perhaps.
Yeah.
Um, MJF easily top three, if not, the top star
Yep.
of your company. He's the guy that should be the face of your company, and you didn't get him back on the show after. That's kind of
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, I part of me thinks that it was just because they don't know what he's doing at Forbidden Door yet, if at all. I mean, obviously he has to be there if the show is on Long Island. Um I mean I one part I mentioned that I didn't mention in the promo was he said that he didn't need a New Japan or a Vince McMahon to be as big as he is because MJF made himself,
Hmm.
which is true. Um he really just he's amazing, and I hope that he is going to be around for a long period and can stay healthy. And because when he was hurt like bad. He had like multiple injuries. His back was hurt, his shoulder was hurt. Um because last year was the most he wrestled probably ever.
Yeah, he was quite beat up.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'm excited that he's back. I'm excited to see where he's going from here. Obviously, just having him around is a plus. And yeah, we'll see what's next for him. Um the next match is for the Trios Championship. It is the Bang Bang Gang or Bullet Club Gold, whatever you want to call them, even though people are saying that they're not being called that anymore, even though people are still wearing the shirt on TV.
Mm, mm, hmm.
uh,
I
the
noticed that with yeah. Oh, well, we'll
yeah,
talk about him.
we'll
Yeah.
talk about it. Taking on Death Triangle. Now, part of me just wanted to see a Jay White versus Pac singles match, but then
Understandable.
but then it was like, Well, why do that when you have championships that you should be defending?
Hmm.
Um, Ray Phoenix has been hurt a lot and just came back. And Penta has been around, but kind of just inserted into random stuff, mostly having to do with other luchas.
Yeah. Or
Um,
filming commercials. That
yeah,
too.
yeah. Um, this match was great. It was a lot of fun. Obviously, everybody in this match is very good at what they do.
Hmm.
The the guns are just taking everything that they're given and improving on it. They are this is if you would ask me a year ago, I probably would have told you that I didn't want them on my screen, but it complete 180 on those guys. They are just great. And this group has really helped them get to this point.
Hmm.
And we've talked in the past about how Jay White should be doing more. Obviously, he's Jay White,
Hmm.
one of the best wrestlers in the world. Um, with that said, this match saw the return of Juice Robinson, who had been out with an injury since November. Um, November or December, one of the two. But he's back wearing a Bullet Club Gold shirt, and he helps the Bang Bang Gang get the win, and that makes his presence felt again on Dynamite.
Hmm.
So my immediate thoughts were get just give those belts to him and let Jay White be a singles now.
Yeah. I mean, that could definitely work. They'd have to obviously find some way of explaining that.
Well, the
Um,
Freebird rule is just a thing that happens. You don't have to.
yeah. Well, it'd be preferable if it made sense, for sure. But um, yeah, so with the Bullet Club thing, is there like uh, is there some kind of legal trapping to it where they can't
I
use
I don't
the?
think so because you still have a version of Bullet Club in TNA. You still have a
Mhm.
version of Bullet Club in here. I don't think so. I think they just wanted to start.
They
They
just
they started using Bang Bang Gang as I guess kind of as
they
uh
wanted to sound cool.
yeah, just to differentiate themselves, I guess, because Bullet Club Gold doesn't sound great. It's just
Mm,
another like version of Bullet Club. But
sure.
every documentation you look at online or whatever still calls them part of Bullet Club. So,
Yeah.
but as we've talked about on here, me and Alan, like the the Bullet Club War Dogs kicked Jay White out of the group.
Hmm. Yeah.
uh, uh, so Bullet Club Gold is kind of just its own thing that is not associated with the actual Bullet Club, but I mean, this is why I've pitched 2 years in a row for Bullet Club Gold to face Bullet Club War Dogs at Forbidden Door for this exact reason.
Yeah.
um, because that has not been acknowledged since Jay White left New Japan, since he's quote unquote not allowed to go back. um,
It's crazy.
uh, but either way, this match was a lot of fun. I love Pac. I love that I love that Pac and Phoenix are both back. I don't need to
Mm.
see Death Triangle anymore.
Yeah, I mean they're a bit curious too because it just seems like whenever Pac doesn't have anything to do, and whenever the Lucha Brothers don't have anything to do, they're like, "Oh, okay. Well, why don't y'all, do the Death Triangle thing, and we'll slot you
Yeah.
in somewhere." Um,
So I will say,
Yeah.
just to add to that, I like the whole because we've talked about it in the past on the other company, how other groups don't need to just break up because they're doing other things. They
Hmm.
can just go their separate ways and then get back together whenever they want. I like that. I don't
Hmm.
need Pac to turn on them for him to do other stuff. He can
Hmm.
just go do other stuff.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't disagree, but it's also a consistency issue with Pac too, where it's like, okay, well, is he going to be on TV? Is he not on TV? Is
Yeah.
he going to be, is he being used? It just doesn't. Do they have a plan for him? It just doesn't seem
Yeah.
to add up as
I
much as
agree.
we would like.
I agree. But yeah, I now that Juice Robinson is back, I would like to see more Jay White single stuff.
Mm.
Also, get rid of those freaking pink belts. Get rid of them.
Yeah,
Why are they
yeah,
still here? I, I, again, this is a thing that we've discussed. Me and Alan have discussed on here, and we've talked about offline in chat. I get it. Okay, it's cool to see a group have 3 championships, even though
hmm,
they're only defending one canonically.
hmm,
I don't need that.
yeah. True.
I I don't need the pink belts and I don't need the ROH belts anymore. They're called the Unified Trios Championships. That means those other 2 belts are not needed.
Yeah, I mean it is. I don't know. We can go down a rabbit hole really quick as far as these belts are concerned.
uh but yeah, obviously we don't know what's going on with the trios division right now because on the first Dynamite Jay White was competing for a shot at the world title,
Ridiculous.
which is
Sorry,
so
I'm
weird.
yeah, it's
Um
we'll we'll move on, I suppose.
yeah. Uh So the next match was another pretty good match as far as I'm concerned. Tony Storm defending the women's championship against Serena Deeb. Now, I think it was pretty obvious to most people Serena Deeb was not winning here.
Mm,
Um, Even though I think it would be great if Serena Deeb won a title, she's amazing. And is probably close to, if not on par with Deonna Purrazzo in the stuff that we talked about earlier.
mhm.
I don't know why there isn't a woman in the BCC because she would be perfect. Um, but this match was a lot of fun. Obviously, you had a little bit of shenanigans with Mariah and Luther, as you expect with Timeless Tony Storm stuff. But recently, she's been stepping up the wrestling
Mm,
and having fun matches and having good matches like this one and like the one she just had at the last pay per view against Thunder Rosa. And I think that obviously, and we've talked about this, I think all of this is building to Mariah being the person to take the belt off her at some point.
mm,
Um, Mariah is great. One of the better young talents to come out of stardom after only wrestling for 9 months there in her first year. And obviously, she's adapted great to this Tony Storm stuff. And it'll be great when the turn happens at some point. Um,
mhm.
Serena Deeb and Tony Storm had a hell of a match here. A lot of great counters, a lot of great submissions by Serena Deeb, as expected. Um, again, the shenanigans taking place with Luther and the belts and Mariah, and Mariah was going to throw in the towel because that's what Tony did for her. And Luther was like, no, don't do that. And then Tony saw Luther holding the towel, and she threw the towel in the crowd and got mad at Luther, not realizing that Mariah was the one that was going to throw it. But Tony would just end up turning it around. Obviously, she hit the Storm Zero early in the match. Serena kicked out. Then she hit it off the middle rope. And then hit it again and got the victory. That was pretty cool. I mean, you don't see middle rope pile drivers very often for obvious reason.
Yeah, super dangerous.
But they pulled it off perfectly, as I would expect from these two, who are just great pros. And yeah, I had a lot of fun with this match. And it seems like one of our predictions is coming true for Forbidden Door, because on Collision the following week, Toni Storm did a promo where she challenged Mina Shirakawa to a match at Forbidden Door. We kind of saw this one coming. Mina Shirakawa has been making sporadic appearances in AEW on top of traveling back and forth between there and Japan, and acknowledging her history with Mariah, and acknowledging that her and Mariah are still close. So obviously, this, I think, and again, me and Alan talked about this on our predictions card show for Forbidden Door. It just seems like this is the perfect place to plant the seeds. You got Mariah in the middle of two people that she cares about. And which side is she going to take? Obviously, she's going to come out. She's going to come out with Toni Storm, but Mina Shirakawa is the person that helped her get to the level she's at. So yeah, I'm excited about that. I'm excited about the storyline progressing. Obviously, the Toni Storm stuff has been great, including Mariah has been great. What do you have to say?
No, I mean, I think that the match was in and of itself was fine. I think what really did damage for me as far as this match is concerned is a lot of confusion as far as the perception of the storyline is concerned, right? Like Tony, I will take nothing away from her. What she's doing right now is absolutely great. But she is very much a heel. But the crowd absolutely loves her. As much as they tried to get, as much as they tried to, I think that there was an attempt to try and make it more transparent that she is the heel here in this match and not Serena Deeb. They obviously wanted you to cheer for Serena Deeb based off of like her story leading into this match, but that just wasn't the case here. So I think that they're experiencing maybe some difficulties there around the characters and how it's connecting with the crowd. Yeah, we'll see where this Toni Storm gimmick goes. It's obviously very, very popular. So
Yeah.
we'll wait and see. But it is a bit confusing at times, I would say. Like if you had watched, the story leading up to this, you'd be like, oh yeah, Serena Deeb, like, she should be, clearly the baby face here. But that's just not how the crowd's responding They're clearly rooting for Tony, and maybe that's just down to the popularity of the character, but
Hmm.
it is a bit weird, I would say, just but in
Yeah.
my own personal opinion.
Oh yeah, and I understand your point completely. Because Serena kind of did come into this as a heel, but she also went the sympathetic route throughout the
Hmm.
build, talking about
Hmm.
her, her medical issues, and so it's hard to say. Like, obviously, Tony is a heel, but she's just
Hmm.
so over that it's hard to call her one.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, but yeah, we'll obviously, I hope Serena Deep stays on TV and just has good matches going forward. Maybe challenges another champion down the line, which is a match I
Hmm.
really want to see. But yeah, so the next match is a match that I think needed to happen, but didn't need to happen on this show.
Hmm.
Um, is Orange Cassidy defeating Trent Beretta? So obviously they've been building this storyline, and we talked about this is the storyline I was alluding to when we talked about the Acclaimed and them turning on each other. Can't have two of these going on at the same time. uh,
Yeah.
so Trent Beretta uh, is a great wrestler, and I think has not really gotten the shine that he wanted coming into AEW. Obviously, the storyline that they're doing here makes a lot of sense.
Hmm.
Um, Trent Beretta and Chuck Taylor came in together as a tag team, and they brought in Orange Cassidy to be their third. They did not
Hmm.
bring in Orange Cassidy to outshine them, and that's exactly what happened. Um,
Hmm.
obviously, Chuck Taylor has been dealing with a lot of injury problems, and there's talk that he is retired now and is going to be working backstage, which leaves Trent Beretta open to be a singles guy. And this storyline has been pretty good, other than Rocky Romero just randomly showing up and being like, "Oh, maybe we can get Trent to be our friend again." Like, have you watched the show? What are you talking about? He pile drived this man on some stairs. You think he wants to be
Yeah.
his friend?
It's a bit odd. Yeah.
um, but this match was good. Obviously, these guys work great together, being real life friends. Uh, I was very concerned, or not concerned. I questioned the winner here very much so,
Hmm.
but I understand why after what happened on Dynamite. Um,
Yeah. It's a solid match. Again, nothing too crazy, I would say. I think that the one cool aspect that they did kind of go with here is they went from playing Jane to then switching
oh
back
yes,
to the Pixies track
yep,
for Orange Cassidy's entrance. Kind of
throwback,
suggesting yeah, a mood shift, if you
yep,
will. Orange
hmm,
Cassidy's always almost slovenly, aloof, right?
yes,
Um,
sloth
but
style,
sloth style.
yeah,
Um, but it made sense here in this instance to go with this. Okay, well we're not friends anymore. Well, let me show you, right? Um, so I liked that move. I liked that approach.
yeah.
Um,
And then
Obviously,
On Dynamite, he came out to Jane but left to the Pixies.
mhm, also strange. But
I don't know if that was a
yeah,
mistake.
yeah, maybe it is. I don't know, but
Uh,
it it does seem to be that was a nice touch. I
yes,
like that. Hmm.
yeah, I liked that. it was basically like Orange Cassidy flipping a switch kind of thing. Like, okay, it's time to get serious. It's time to this. I'm not playing games anymore.
Yeah.
Then I guess we could talk about what happened on Dynamite. Um, Don Callis wanted to offer Orange Cassidy a contract to join the Callis family.
Mhm.
We all saw this coming from a mile away. Why would Orange Cassidy want to join the Callis family? First of all, why
Right.
is Don Callis interested in Orange Cassidy and not Trent Beretta?
Well, right.
um,
Yeah. Very strange.
we all
Um,
obviously realized this was going to be like a bait and switch situation, which is what it was. Um, so Orange Cassidy denies the contract, rips it up very slowly, and throws it on the ground, and that uh, brings out someone else that we're going to talk about later. And Trent Beretta shows up, attacks him from behind.
mhm.
Don Callis is shocked. He had no idea
Yeah.
this was going to happen.
Absolutely
And
floored. Yeah.
yeah. Uh, so then Don Callis basically tells Orange Cassidy, he's like, oh, you made the biggest mistake of your life. You're going to regret this. You know, the stuff Don Callis
Immediately.
says.
Yeah.
And Trent Beretta has joined the Callis family, which is what should have happened in the first place.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Callis family is hurting right now. Will Hobbs is going to be out for a really long time. Will Ospreay is a baby face.
Well, yeah, that's the problem I'm having here too, is there's like they seem to have brought in members of Will Ospreay, well, Ospreay himself and his faction from New
Yeah.
Japan, to join him, and yet they're all sitting here as baby faces in the Callis family. Even Takeshita, who you could argue, yes, he's kind of the 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 the, the crown jewel of the Callis family,
Mm-hmm. Well,
next to Ospreay.
I think it was a good move to have him in this group just to get his legs under him in America. And when he does do that turn down the line, he's going to be more over than ever.
Hmm.
But it is weird that now, obviously, Osprey's been associated with Don Callis ever since
Hmm.
last year at All In because of Jericho. But coming into AEW, he was immediately a babyface because everybody knows who Will Ospreay is and how good he is, depending, based on everything that's happened in the last year. So it's
Hmm.
still odd that he wants to associate with Don Callis after everything that he's been through. But
Hmm.
obviously, they're planting seeds here and there of Don Callis getting involved in his matches and trying to entice him to use the Tiger Driver, which I forgot to talk about earlier, but that they're
Hmm.
still going with that storyline, which I like a lot. Because as me and Alan talked about when we talked about that Dynasty match, that Tiger
Hmm.
Driver was perfect. Danielson wasn't hurt. It
No.
was just a storyline to do this.
Hmm.
To because eventually he's going to need to use that move to win, to beat somebody,
Hmm.
and that's the whole point of the storyline. But Don Callis is basically telling him like, "Oh, you have to use it or you're not going to win." But then he just wins. Then he just wins anyway.
Right.
So
Which in and of itself, admittedly, kind of makes that a moot point, right?
yes,
He's winning
but
regardless of using the
but
Tiger
I
Driver.
think but I think down the line there's going to be somebody, whether it's the world champion or somebody else, that he cannot beat.
Sure.
And he's going to need to use it in order to beat that person. I think
Right.
that's the point. But Don Callis doesn't need to be the be the middle ground to that point happening.
Yeah.
Because Will Ospreay is so over that he can't be a heel.
Right.
So at some point, obviously, him and Fletcher and hopefully returning Mark Davis will just be the United Empire and not associated with Don Callis.
That is going to be the hope, right?
Yeah.
That is going to be the hope. But yeah, man. We'll see.
Yeah. Trent is now in the Callis family, and I think that was the best move for him going forward. Hopefully, obviously, the stuff with Orange Cassidy and him is not over, but Trent needs to win.
Yeah, he definitely Trent could use a pick me up right about now. So I hope that he does get some momentum here. I mean, he could be a top guy in a heel Don Callis family faction.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. Well, here we are. A match that I'm just I don't even want to talk about. But here we are.
No? Okay.
Chris Jericho is defending the FTW Championship in a triple threat FTW rules match against Hook and Katsuyori Shibata.
Yes.
So they've made it a point on commentary to acknowledge the fact that Katsuyori Shibata, before being in AEW, has never had a match that wasn't a singles match that wasn't a regular wrestling match.
Yeah.
He's never had a
on.
triple threat, never had a fatal 4-way, never
But
had
but that's not true, because last year at Forbidden Door he was in a fatal 4-way.
Before that.
Oh, before he came to AEW, he's never had
Yes.
Okay. Huh.
Yes.
All right.
never had a no rules match. Never.
Well, I would. Hold on. Shibata is one of my favorite wrestlers ever,
Yes.
and I'm just go on, Mike. I just can't even.
So the only reason that he's involved in this is because he's kind of taken Hook under his wing. A wing that I don't think he's going to be under anymore. So this storyline, we've talked about this offline. I don't know who this is for.
Chris Jericho. It's for Chris Jericho. He's the only one that this is for.
That's the way it seems, because it feels like all of this is just a rib on the audience to be like, oh, we know that you love the show, but here's something you don't love.
Here's some bullshit that nobody asked for. Yeah.
Yeah. So you got Chris Jericho doing this learning tree gimmick, which in itself
I am the learning tree.
Which in itself just sounds dumb. Then he's got Big Bill, who has succeeded without Chris Jericho on numerous occasions, saying that he wants to be under Chris Jericho's learning tree because he wants to succeed.
What is Big Bill, a 7-foot, 300-pound monster, going to learn from Chris Jericho, a 5'8", 250-pound, guy in his almost 60s? What is Big Bill going to learn from him? What does he need to learn from him?
I don't know. I don't know. And he's calling him the Redwood. I think is that what they're calling him?
I guess. I
don't even remember. I don't even remember. I just kind of.
Why can't you just call him? Why does it have to be trees? Why
Yeah,
can't you just call him Big Bill?
yeah.
Uh,
Uh,
Sorry,
so
I digress.
yeah. All right. So we had this match, and every time that Chris Jericho has one of these matches, he has some kind of gimmick that has to do with the city that they're in as a weapon. It's so weird.
It's pretty meta. I will applaud him a little bit for it.
Uh, the last match they had a bag of hockey pucks.
Mm, mhm.
Um, in this one, what was it? A bag of why can't I remember? It's I had it and I lost it. It was another bag of something that you weren't expecting, and I can't remember. Um,
That's in North Carolina, right?
uh, was this in North
Or West
Carolina?
Virginia? I don't remember.
I don't even remember where this show took place. No, it was Vegas. So it was
Ah,
dice. It was dice.
yeah, Dice. That's
It
right,
was
Dice.
dice.
That's right.
um,
Yeah, yeah, because this whole match is a real gamble, you know.
yeah.
Uh,
Um, obviously there was a very bad table spot. They had a table set up in the corner with Jericho laying on top of it and Shibata going for a superplex on
mhm,
top of the table while Jericho is laying on it. And
mhm.
they didn't like miss the table. They just didn't like hit the center.
They didn't
So
make it. Yeah.
so the table just flipped over with Jericho on top of it. So they took it upon themselves to just set it up in the corner and just throw Jericho into it. uh yeah. The finish was a hooded man coming down to the ring. Somebody who competed for a shot to be in this match but did not win. In fact, he tapped out to the other two competitors. Brian Keith, who is another guy who is just a great wrestler who does not need this, helps Chris Jericho win the match and then joins this group on Dynamite in a segment that was so dumb that I don't even want to talk about it.
It was pretty awful. Um, uh, and what part of Brian Keith's character says I need to learn from Chris Jericho? Like Brian Keith is a bounty hunter.
So
He's
obviously, I think this is the joke that obviously doesn't appeal
it,
to you and me because
it's a joke that's not funny.
Brian Keith has been wrestling for over a decade and does not need to learn from anyone.
Yeah, maybe that's what this should be. Maybe it should be a bunch of old heads that aren't doing anything,
Yeah.
that are like industry veterans being like, I need to learn from Chris Jericho.
Oh,
And
so that's what we're gonna do with Miro now?
we
God
should,
damn it!
yeah, we should absolutely, and we should bring in Bruno Sammartino's Ghost.
Yes.
He should be in the group. We should bring in who's the guy who did the chicken wing?
Oh, Bob Backlund.
Bob Backlund. Bob Backlund should be in the
I
group.
mean,
He needs to learn.
Larry Zabisco's around somewhere.
Yeah, he needs to learn. Both of them need to learn from Chris
Yeah.
Jericho.
Yes.
Um, Definitely bring in Juventud Guerrera.
Oh yeah.
He
Oh
he
yeah.
can learn
Yes.
from from Chris Jericho.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't know who this is for, but on this Dynamite segment, you have Brian Keith basically saying that it pisses him off that people don't acknowledge Chris Jericho as a goat, and
He's been acknowledged. He's
uh, it pisses him off that people don't want to learn from Jericho. And they dubbed other members of the learning tree like apples or something. I don't know.
He called Brian Keith the Bad Apple. Oh,
Yeah.
Big
Yes.
Bill named Brian Keith the Bad Apple.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. So this brings out Hook, who is going down to the ring to like
who is
obvious.
obviously disappointed with everything that's happening. You can,
Yes. Um, and then that brings out Samoa Joe, who has been kind of going to Hook here and there and just telling him like, "Oh, you're like really good. I don't know why you're doing this shit."
yeah, yeah.
um, and Samoa Joe's music hits, but he doesn't come out of the entranceway. He like comes out of the crowd and
Yeah, he the way that the camera pans, it's like he had previously just left the ring almost.
yeah,
He's just kind of
he
emerging.
just appeared out of nowhere.
Yeah,
And
like SmackDown versus Raw '06.
yeah,
Yeah, he just kind of like
um,
walked in. Oh, hey, how's it going?
yeah, and he basically like gets in Hook's ear and they walk away. They just walk away.
Yeah,
And Chris Jericho's waving at the crowd like a queen, like a British
yeah, just
uh
waving.
monarch. And what is this? What is this?
So we've obviously trashed this a lot,
Yes.
but there is a nice silver lining here. Um, whatever this partnership is between Samoa Joe and Hook, um, I think that this is the right thing to do,
And
right?
get Shibata away from here.
Well, yes, and I think that should be your top babyface group. You know, a group of badasses, right? It would actually be a great alternative to the
Samoa
BBC.
Joe, Samoa Joe, Hook, Shibata, Daniel Garcia.
I was actually going to mention, I know Danielson's in the BBC or quasi BBC.
Yeah.
He doesn't really fit in the BBC that much, but I think that he could definitely be in this group, right? Um, maybe say like I don't know, maybe loosely aligned with the group. I don't know,
Hmm.
but it does seem to me that the BBC has run its course. That's just
Eh.
from the outside looking in. I think Danielson could find himself a lot more useful here, and he could maybe even bring in Yuta, just a
Hmm.
group of badasses that are loosely aligned, that help each other, that make each other better. That was Danielson's whole thing about being in the BBC is let's help bring a generation of wrestlers through like Yuta, like Hook, like Daniel Garcia.
It's the BCC.
Plus,
You said BBC multiple times.
yeah, BBC, BCC.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Uh Obviously I think Hook and Samoa Joe together is a plus. But
Yes.
if they're doing this, I don't know how much of it how much I care about it.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely need to get Samoa Joe and Hook be that's the right direction for this. If this is what got us here, awesome, fantastic,
Yeah,
and
sure. Sure. All right. So let's move on. Um the next match. Oh wait, I lost my place. The next match.
mm,
Why? Damn it.
I
Uh
believe the next match is John Moxley versus
that
Konosuke
that is correct.
Takeshita.
Okay. Yes.
Hmm.
Sorry. I just lost where I was and I had the card up and all right. So I have I so I enjoyed this match a lot. My problem with it,
Mm,
they called it an eliminator match on a
hmm.
pay-per-view that John Moxley wins Why not just make it a title match if Jon Moxley's going to win?
I think there's perhaps some political complications with Takeshita and New Japan. Maybe they don't want him necessarily competing for the IWGP title.
I don't know. I mean, he works for AEW and they have a relationship with AEW. Like, I get that he's closely associated with DDT, but so is AEW. They're under the same governing body.
That is true.
I mean, New Japan, not AEW. So yeah, I don't know. This, like I said, this match was a lot of fun. Jon Moxley was working with a quote unquote injury that he sustained the night before on Collision. And they still had a great match, great back and forth, great technical ability by both guys. Jon Moxley continues to be one of my favorite wrestlers ever. Takeshita is one of those guys that is on the rise right now and is going to be one of the best wrestlers ever. And I had a lot of fun watching this match. It's just that the fact that it was an eliminator match on a pay-per-view, which never happens, had me believing that Takeshita would win. But at the same time, I guess New Japan doesn't want their champion taking pinfalls. So, like I said, if that's the case, just have a title match. Just call it a title match so you can move on and be like, oh, Takeshita had a title shot and he lost. That's it. Why have an eliminator match on a pay-per-view if the champion's just going to win?
Yeah, good point. I have nothing further to say about that. I mean, that's factual. Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, this was a fun match. Jon Moxley won. Takeshita looked great. Jon Moxley looked great. And yeah, so Forbidden Door is coming up, and Jon Moxley will be defending this belt one more time before then against Evil at Dominion in a lumberjack death match.
Sweet.
So they're just saying, oh, there's going to be House of Torture shenanigans, and we're going to promote it.
Yeah. It's gonna be great. I don't like the House of Torture. I really
Nobody does.
Nobody should like the House of Torture. But here we are.
But either way, Jon Moxley is going to win that match, and who he faces at Forbidden Door, I think, is going to be interesting. I can't. I mean, I assume it's going to be somebody from New Japan. Obviously, it's a New Japan belt on an AEW show that is cross-promoted with New Japan. I don't know if do you get a Naito rematch? Do you get a Tsuji singles match?
Yeah, that could be good.
Because they already did the Shota singles match, so they're not going to do that here.
What's Sonata doing? Sonata doing anything?
Yeah, I guess nothing.
Okay.
Just doing multi-man matches with his guys.
Maybe something with
maybe
Finley.
You could run back Moxley and Shingo. I mean, because they always have good matches. I honestly don't. Oh, the match that I predicted was Zack Sabre Jr.
That would be cool. I'd be down for Moxley versus Zack. I think it's going to make Moxley look quite weak as far as the submission game is concerned. But
he's had matches with Danielson, and I mean, come on, It's John
Sure.
Moxley. I mean, I think that's where they should go because Zach has been saying that he wants the world title. He's already had matches with Danielson. He's already had matches with Claudio. Might as well have a match with Moxley here.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I can see that.
and I mean, like we talked about it previously, me and Alan, about how he lost the TV title um, to Tanahashi, who then lost it in his first defense
Hmm.
to Matt Riddle. And I guess they just didn't want Matt Riddle to have it for very long, so they just gave it back to Zach. And then he lost it in his first defense.
Hmm.
So why did we do that? to
Yeah.
Jeff Cobb. Um but yeah, so I think it's going to be Zack Sabre Jr. I mean that's what I'm predicting, but
Hmm.
I could be wrong. Um that's what I predicted on the last show. But we'll see what happens with Takeshita now, who is I guess going to be joined by Trent and I don't know. I would like to see, and again, I said this on the last show on the prediction card show for Forbidden Door. I want to see him and Shota in a singles match. So
Hmm.
I think that would be. I think progressing off of this, that would make a lot of sense, considering they have faced each other in tag matches and teamed once. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Takeshi's going to keep getting great, but I don't know if this happened here, but I guess we'll just talk about it now. Tony Khan came out and introduced Martha Hart, and we're doing the Owen Hart Cup again,
Yes.
which is great, men and women's again, and this time, and this is the part I actually really like. The winners get to face the championship, the world champions, at the biggest show of the year.
Mm.
I think that's great. It differentiates AEW from like other companies where like you determine who gets the biggest title opportunity at the biggest show. It
Hmm.
gives you a reason to want to talk about this tournament because before people were just getting a pink belt that only showed up for a week and that was it.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I'm excited about that. Um, Will Ospreay should not be in this tournament.
Well, he might not be, or I mean, if
I mean,
things play out a certain way, I suppose.
we'll talk about that. Obviously, I don't know when the participants are being determined, but yes.
Mm.
So that is what's happening. The Owen Hart is happening again. They're going to culminate in Calgary again. Um, yeah, I'm excited about it.
And rightfully so. You should be excited about it.
Yeah,
Everybody should be.
I agree. All right, so we're here at a match that on paper should have been great. It was just fine, but it
Mm.
should have been great. Is Adam Copeland defending the TNT title against Malachi Black in a
Hmm.
barbed wire steel cage match.
Mm.
So, starting off, obviously, Malachi is one of the guys that Adam Copeland always wanted. Better?
Yes.
I don't know what happened. All right. So, uh, so Malachi Black and Adam Copeland always wanted to face each other. Adam Copeland always wanted to face Malachi Black. Finally getting to do that here, but this match could have been a lot better because there was a couple of things that they did that they should not have did. The number one thing that they should not have done was Adam Copeland, 51, I think, or turning 51.
Yeah, he's getting up there.
Never jumped off of anything ever. Literally ever. Climbs a cage and I think was attempting an elbow drop. It's very hard to tell, but I think that's what he was attempting. For some reason in midair, and I think it was because he hesitated while he was up there because he didn't want to like get caught on the barbed wire or something. I don't know. It felt like there was some kind of hesitation that caused this. But he goes for an elbow drop off the cage. And as he's in the air, straightens out like he's going to land on his feet, which he does.
Kind of.
An elbow drop through a table. What? Why? Just why?
Yeah. Copeland has never been known to be a high flyer at any point in his career. I think that there is the one spot with him jumping off the ladder and spearing Jeff Hardy mid-air at WrestleMania 17.
Yeah.
But that's it. Like
that's literally it.
I mean,
he's been thrown off of things. He's been choke slammed off of ladders. He's been attitude adjustment off of ladders into tables. But he's never like climbed really high and then jumped. Never.
Correct.
Rikishi's done that more than him. Which is crazy.
Correct. It's nuts.
He basically shattered his ankle.
Yeah. Not good.
Shattered his tibia. Obviously during the match, I guess adrenaline kicks in, you don't really feel it. But as soon as the match ended, he was noticeably limping.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The moment that we were going to have with well, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was going to get to that because this is the other questionable thing that happened. So the House of Black comes in after, for some reason, they like broke through the cage and ended up on the outside of the ring.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no escape in this match, so they make it look like they're going to turn on Malachi by switching sides when Copeland and Malachi are both on their knees on the ground. And then they just immediately attack Adam Copeland, which was just a bait and switch for no reason. Because literally a minute later, when they get back into the ring, the lights go out and Gangrel shows up. So why did we even do that bait and switch if we were going to do this surprise?
It doesn't make sense. It literally truly doesn't.
Like barely a minute later. And Gangrel looks good for 50 plus, just hitting impalers, getting thrown into the cage. I think this is the first time him and Copeland have been together on a show on television in like 20 plus years.
Yes.
And yeah, I mean, you just a lot of the other stuff in this match was a lot of fun for, you know, a cage match with no rules and weapons and stuff. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I just don't understand why we needed to do this whole bait and switch thing just to have a surprise a minute later. I don't
Yeah,
understand what Adam Copeland was thinking diving off of a cage at 51. I
yeah,
uh I mean there's other ways to put Malachi through a table. I mean like your signature move is a spear.
yeah.
Do a spear through the table. Like come on. Like
Yeah, man. This was not.
I mean this
This was
worse
not what I necessarily wanted out of this match.
no.
Not by a long shot. But um, I do think that Malachi had a good showing. I
Mhm.
think that Copeland, to an extent, had a good showing as well. It could have been better, but I digress. I'm not going to get like too in the
No.
weeds on that.
No,
Um,
I fully agree.
um, I will say, yeah, the double turn thing was not was not well thought out at all.
No.
Um, there was no point to it. Literally no point. Shouldn't have been done.
Yeah. Um and yeah, I mean I kind of wish Malachi had won because of the result of the injury. Obviously you can't predict an injury, but when you do something that dumb, I guess you kind of can. Um
Yeah, man.
so now they're doing a I guess like a tournament kind of thing. They're going to do a bunch of singles matches that result in the winners going to a fatal four-way ladder match at Forbidden Door.
Cool.
Um, there was a segment on Dynamite that we will talk about that coincides with the main event. Uh, all right. So, well wishes to Copeland. I'm sure he'll be back. Uh, hopefully better than ever.
Mhm.
No, and just to add, I mean, because I talked about this in our chat, like that guy has had an Achilles injury before.
Mhm.
Why would he do that?
Yeah, and a bad Achilles injury as well.
Yeah.
Not. I don't know,
Um.
man.
All right.
Not
So
a wise move.
the next match on the card is probably my second favorite match on the entire show. I would
Okay.
I would put it up there with the Will Ospreay match. It's Willow Nightingale defending the TBS Championship against the in-ring debuting Mercedes Moné. So there was says I'm muted again. God damn it! All right, why does this keep happening? All right,
I
uh,
don't know, man.
the technical difficulties. Got to figure. All right, so Mercedes Moné comes in at the biggest show they ever have in Boston,
Hmm.
and obviously we all saw it coming. This was in March. It is now the at this point during the show the end of May. Time of recording, it's June.
Sure.
Um, so this is our first match, and obviously I think the reason that we like waited so long to have her first match is because she wasn't 100%. Um, she had a really bad ankle injury that was an accident, of course, but they used it in storyline and said that it was Willow's fault,
Hmm.
um, which was good. It worked. Um, this match was a lot of fun. Mercedes looked great. She looked better than ever. Um, Willow has really grown on the audience as one of the top baby faces in this division. Has become one of the bigger stars in this division because of it. And I think it was the right move to have this match here, to get this cut, not to quote unquote, not to get it quote unquote out of the way, but not to make people wait for it, because they knew that this was the match that we wanted right away. They they
Mm-hmm.
they knew that we wanted to see these two have a rematch after that unfortunate ending to their last match.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, I think they over delivered here. Um, I had a lot of fun with this match, and uh, was not shocked by the result at all.
Yeah, no, this was a really good match as well. I would say it's probably my second favorite match on the card.
Yeah.
Um, I will say, in the spirit of being a bit more critical here, I
Hmm.
think this fell into the same trap that the Serena Deeb Tony Storm match did,
Yes.
where Willow is obviously a babyface, and probably one of their strongest baby faces on the entire roster. Um, I do think that they clearly wanted to push Mercedes as the new big star in the women's division. I guess whatever experiment that they had with Soraya has kind of fallen out since then. But it isn't lost on me that uh, Mercedes is clearly a heel,
Hmm.
like very clearly a heel
Yes.
by all metrics. Um, yeah, it just again it kind of fell into that same pattern for me.
So I could see that. I think that she falls more into the tweener side of things. Um,
Hmm.
because I think she obviously has heel tendencies, being
Hmm.
the kind of character that she is, but
Hmm.
still wants the adulation from the crowd.
Right. Well,
Um,
I mean, she's like egocentric, right? Like
yeah.
that's her thing.
And, I mean, we've talked about this before. I wish they would get rid of chanting in her song, but it seems like it's staying. Um,
Yeah.
I don't like that per se. I mean, I get that they want the crowd to chant CEO, but enticing them to do so kind of seems weird.
Yeah.
Uh,
Just a little bit.
but after the match, so Mercedes won. I do think she needs to have an alternate finisher, um, because it doesn't seem like she can really do that move, that gory bomb into a DDT on bigger talent. Um,
Mm.
like she hits it perfectly on people like Sky Blue, but doing it against somebody like Willow, who's a little bigger, doesn't look great.
I don't think that I don't think that the move has looked good in general since he debuted it. It's gotten better over time,
Yeah.
but it doesn't seem to be like a solid move for her. I'd almost prefer her just to go back to using um, what was it that she had, the what was it, the boss grip or the boss lock or whatever it was whenever she was
Bank statement.
the bank statement. Thank you. Uh, that one. You know, it should maybe boss lock that works
Yeah.
good. Yeah, you're welcome, Mercedes.
Yeah. Um, um, yeah, I mean she's incorporated the backstabber into her regular move set, but I
Hmm.
guess she is putting that crossface without the arm lock behind her. I don't know if she really does that anymore. So maybe if she incorporated a new submission or just another move that she could do to everybody that looks more.
Yeah,
I mean, like she could pull out this move when it's right, but I don't think she should be doing it to everyone. Um,
yeah. It definitely shouldn't be a finisher. I think one man's opinion.
mhm. Yeah, and that's fine. But yeah, so after this match, um, Chris Statlander and Stokely were on the outside for the whole match and even caused a distraction that did not help Willow at all. And after the match, Willow is hurting and they're arguing with Stokely over the distraction stuff. And Chris Statlander does the Kevin Owens Sami Zayn spot, slamming her head onto the ramp. And I saw this coming from a mile away. I even tweeted that this was going to happen the day before it happened. Because we had Trent kind of at one point when Trent first turned on Orange, he whispered something to Chris. We didn't know what it was, but I assumed it had something to do with this because it was basically the same exact situation. Your friend is using you to become more popular than you.
Yeah.
And that's basically what it was. So now Statlander and Stokely are back to, Statlander's a heel for the first time in her career, and I'm very excited to see how that plays out. And Stokely is back to where he should have been because he's a better heel manager than a babyface manager. And yeah, she showed up during the Orange Cassidy Trent thing on Dynamite, saying that her best friend was the newest member of the Callis family, implying that she was talking about Trent. So yeah, obviously, and they're doing some kind of angle where Willow is hurt, and that she's going to come back at some point, obviously, to confront Chris. So I'm excited to see how this plays out for Chris Statlander being a heel, and yeah, I like this.
Yeah, the match was solid. The angle looks to be going well according to plan. Statlander needed something different to do for a while now. Then there was always that edge between her and Stokely, and that kind of was like, oh, okay, well maybe this might be different.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I think we all kind of saw this coming once her and Willow and Stokely started being like this well-oiled machine kind of thing. Stokely never liked Willow and said as much on television while they were still teaming. So yeah, we'll see where this goes. But I am excited for Chris to get something new and go from there. So we're at the co-main event, and it is the World Championship match. Swerve Strickland defending against Christian Cage. Now, there's been a lot of talk about the rankings. Where did they go? What happened to them?
Where did they go? What happened to them?
They just disappeared. Now, storyline wise, I get why this match is happening. The Young Bucks made this match.
True.
What's happening?
I don't know, dude.
Why does this keep happening? So at the time, Tony Khan was injured. So the Young Bucks were just like trying to take out everybody that would cross them. Swerve was one of those people. So that's why they picked Christian. Because Christian is great and has a lot of backup. And yeah, I actually really enjoyed this match. It was fine for what it was. I don't think the result was ever in question. There's no way that Christian was winning. But, there was shenanigans here and there. There was Luchasaurus, Kill Switch getting involved. There was Nick Wayne getting involved. There was Nick Wayne's mom getting involved,
Mm.
which is what happens in every Christian match. Christian is just a good wrestler. He doesn't need all these shenanigans, but I get why it happens.
Hmm.
It's for the character stuff. But
Yeah, it is getting pretty repetitive.
yeah,
But um, I mean,
yeah.
I don't know.
So on the way here, I did really like the build to this. Um, Christian was acknowledging the fact that Nick Wayne was attacked by Swerve last year before All In and all that stuff with Darby, and um, because he left his quote unquote son laying in his own home, he was going to take something from Swerve every week until the pay per view. He took his hair, he took his heavies, his group. He
Mm,
he took stuff from him every show. So I am looking forward to Swerve continuing to reign as champion, but uh so we talked about the gauntlets, the
mhm,
casino gauntlet. We had another one this past week that was also won by Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay, the man who just won the international title, is
mhm,
now challenging the world champion at Forbidden Door
mhm.
instead of defending the international title. Now,
Yeah.
my issue with it isn't that there isn't a New Japan guy getting the shot. I understand that that sometimes isn't the case. We've had matches on the show Forbidden Door where it didn't involve an AEW guy and a New Japan guy. But my issue is, why did Will Ospreay just win the international title if a month later he's just going to challenge for the world title?
Yeah, that definitely doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It's, I mean, I'm not going to go as far as saying I'm disappointed, but
No.
it's certainly uh, you're giving a lot to Will, and perhaps Tony feels like he should give a lot to Will based off of his contract and based off of all
Mm-hmm.
these concessions he's making to Will.
Sure.
That's fine. Um, but you need to make up your mind, right? You need to make up your
Mm-hmm.
mind what you want to do with this guy,
Yep.
and what his long term plan is. Because with doing this, you're kind of showing us, well, you didn't really have a plan. You were just kind of like, oh, well, let's just do this. All right,
Mm-hmm.
this feels like the right thing to do. Um, that beating Roddy could have gone to someone else. Somebody else who could use
Mm-hmm.
that boost. So nothing against Will. It's just awfully disappointing that this
Yeah.
is
And I would say that maybe they're trying to get people off the idea that they were going to have this match at All In. That's the only thing I could think of. Because everybody has been like, oh, it's Wembley. They got to have Osprey versus Swerve there. Not necessarily.
mm,
Swerve could still, Will could still have a good match at this show and not be a world title match. He doesn't need to be world champion tomorrow.
mhm.
You can,
But that's kind of what it seems like is the direction that they're going. It's like,
yeah.
oh, we're forcing this move.
So he's getting a title shot here. I don't know if they're announcing the participants for the Owen Hart before Forbidden Door. I think they are. If that's the case, Will Ospreay should not be one of them because he already has a title shot.
Mhm.
However, I think and we've talked about in chat privately and stuff. that we don't know where Hangman is right now.
No idea.
And if he does return for the Owen Hart, he would be the perfect person to win it. To have his match with Swerve for the title. And Swerve can hopefully finally put that behind him. Because Hangman did say before he unfortunately had to go out for personal reasons that he was going to make sure that Swerve never won the belt. But he wasn't here for the singles match because he was storyline suspended. So it would just make sense from a storyline perspective for Hangman to come back for the Owen and win to challenge Swerve at All In. That's been Swerve's biggest rival to this point. That's been the biggest thing that has made Swerve. And it would be the perfect culmination to them ending that feud forever.
I get what you're saying. I do feel like I do feel like Swerve has gotten a bit cold since even since the Adam Page feud ended. I think that the transition wasn't what it ought to have been. But I mean, I really think that Wembley begs for Ospreay to main event, and I really think that it also begs for it to be in the biggest match you could possibly have. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I think that him winning the title off of Roddy was a bit of a mistake.
Oh, and also to add to that, Roddy's getting a world title shot on Dynamite for no reason at all.
Sweet.
He's saying it's because he didn't get his opportunity to be in the Gauntlet, and
Oh, okay.
because Will Ospreay just won the match before he could enter. So instead of, he should just take the title from Swerve so he can keep that title away from Will. Whatever. Swerve versus Roddy will be a great match.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
Main event Dynamite, sure. All right. So yeah, Swerve beats Christian, great match. Questionable follow up. That I guess we'll see what happens. All right, so we arrived at the main event. The Anarchy in the Arena match.
Oh, Jesus.
The Elite, Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, Kazuchika Okada, and Jack Perry going up against Team AEW of Bryan Danielson, FTR, and Darby Allin. Now, Darby Allin has a lot going on here. He has a broken nose. He has a injured ankle, and wasn't supposed to be back at all. But Eddie Kingston, who was supposed to be in this match, is unfortunately going to be out for a very long time after a ACL tear, I believe. And so Darby Allin suggested to Tony Khan, apparently off screen, that he should be in this match. So he returns on the Dynamite where they are about to get to this show, I guess, with a flamethrower. Tony Khan drove him to the arena. Well, no, that was the following week. Okay, so Darby returned after Eddie was hurt, and then the following week, Darby was banned from the arena. But Tony Khan, who hadn't been back on TV, got him back in the building. So, this match, I know Tanner's not going to like what I have to say.
Yeah,
But,
I mean, let's just talk about it. It's
so I enjoyed the hell out of this match. I thought it was a lot of fun for what it was supposed to be. And the whole point of this match is anarchy. It's supposed to be crazy. It's supposed to they're supposed to do stupid stuff. Now, depending on how you do that stupid stuff is the issue. And I get that. The Young Bucks are usually pretty good in these types of matches. They, do their spots. They throw out something crazy here and there. They brought back the thumbtack shoe. They brought back a couple of things that they've done before. Kazuchika Okada being in this match is just crazy. Because he's another one. We talked about Shibata earlier, who's never really had a no rules match, like ever.
very, very much someone who believes in the rules.
FTR and the Young Bucks are still going at it after all these years. I think we're probably once this elite stuff versus the elite versus AEW stuff is over, we're probably going to put Young Bucks versus FTR on the back burner for like years. Because it's getting to the point where it's happening a lot. And it's no longer special.
No. It's starting to feel very unspecial.
Yes. Bryan Danielson. He is going towards the end of his full-time career. He has said that even though he plans to quote-unquote take a break or not wrestle full-time, he's not retiring. In fact, he still plans to wrestle at least 10 times a year.
Yeah. Very, very much not retiring, it seems.
And the storyline coming into this was the fact that Claudio did not want him in this match because the last time he was in one of these matches, he got hurt for real.
Yeah, fair play to him. Fair play to Claudio for thinking, very forward here.
So the spot, I guess so there's action all over the place, but
there's a lot of things happening.
But the main thing was Darby and Jack Perry kind of pair off, and they end up backstage in a parking lot. And
who would have known they hate each other? Turns out,
at some point, there's just a bin with water in it, and Darby just tries to drown Jack Perry.
Yes.
We find out that this was for good reason later. Jack Perry has a painted bus that is all black that just says scapegoat on it, and he tries to run Darby over. We don't see if Darby got out of the way, but we assume he did because he shows up again later. So Jack Perry I guess he hit something while he was driving the bus because he just kind of takes a nap at that point while he's in the bus. So there's a lot of action going on. Darby's jumping off of stuff, even with an injured ankle. Hitting coffin drops from the top of balconies and whatnot. You got the Young Bucks and the FTR just going at it. Kazuchika Okada has a clothesline, a thumbtack wristband or armband, and he's hitting rainmakers with thumbtacks. But because he's never had matches like this before, he doesn't know how to do that safely, so it doesn't
Yeah.
look great.
He just clobbers him.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
So this all builds to Jack Perry eventually returning. And he's walking backstage back to the match. And he just so happens to be in the go position and notices that Tony Khan is sitting there. While this is happening, Darby Allin has reemerged and he has brought the flamethrower. And he's just spraying it in the air to fiend off the other members of the Elite, I guess. As Jack Perry appears with Tony Khan, who ends up just rolling down the ramp and running away.
Mm-hmm.
Darby Allin shoots the flamethrower at Jack Perry.
Quick timeout.
Mm-hmm.
Bear in mind, earlier in the show, Dr. Martha Hart was there with Tony Khan, or announcing
Yes.
the Owen Hart tournament.
Yes.
And this is one of two occasions in this match where the risk of someone dying, again, for better or worse, it's a very risky spot to have. I mean, it's. I don't think that there was an inherent risk that Jungle Boy was going to die.
No. So
but
we kind of discussed this off air that video has emerged of Jack Perry doing this sometime in March. Probably because he was getting ready to do this. There is a video out of him having his arm on fire and his part of his legs and doing like acrobatic moves while doing it and stuff. So he apparently was learning how to do this safely. So that was my takeaway after seeing that didn't make me hate this. Because the precautions were made, I think, to make this work as safely as possible. And when they did it, only his legs, I think, were mostly on fire, and part of his lower back.
So Darby used the flamethrower a few times, and on one of the occasions, it definitely started to cover his upper torso, but I digress.
Yes, but they put him out almost immediately, almost like they planned for it. The Young Bucks just ran in with fire extinguishers, like, immediately. And at this point, you're like, okay, Jack Perry's done, right? Jack Perry's done for the rest of the match. Unfortunately, that was not the case. Doctors covered him up for a while and were like, I guess, just like talking to him, making sure he was okay. And he is involved in the ending of this match, where you had all this crazy shit going on, and he just wins with a running knee to Bryan Danielson. A wrestling move. That Bryan Danielson does on the regular, by the way. Yeah. So I get why most people might not like this match, or think that it's crazy, or that some of the stuff they did was out of left field, but I had a lot of fun because I know that, I am aware that despite the stuff being as crazy as it was, that they definitely took precaution in doing that.
Sure. And I would say that if if you are someone like Mike who enjoys like some GCW or even, I mean, I'm even known myself to enjoy some of the off the wall zany kind of stuff that PWG has done in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you'll probably like this, right? It's fine. Um, I just find that some of this is just so unnecessary. Like the flaming spot, unnecessary. We didn't even talk about the music.
Oh well,
That
that's just a rib that they do in every Anarchy match.
No, I know, but it's
Yeah, they started the match by so the last few years, all of BCC has been in this match. So usually it would be John Moxley's theme song that would play continuously. But this
mhm,
year, they did that with Darby's theme song, and the Young Bucks got on the mic, and Matthew Jackson got on the mic and said, "Turn this shit off.
mhm,
Turn on our music because it's the better song." So they did that, and then Brian Danielson got on the mic, and he's like, "Turn this crap off. Turn on the best
mhm,
theme song ever played," which did not play before because Brian Danielson and FTR did not have an entrance.
mhm. Ridiculous.
So they played Final Countdown for a while, and then
Mhm.
Matthew Jackson gets on the mic again, and this was pretty funny. It was just like, this is costing us a fortune. Turn this shit off.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I like I like the line about it costing us a fortune. I mean they had to let go of Mark Henry and Big Show in order to
Yeah.
facilitate the.
Well, I don't know if Paul White is actually gone. I was just
Well,
I
I
I know
mean,
that Mark
we haven't
Henry is.
definitely haven't seen him in a minute.
Yeah, that's true.
Uh,
Um, but overall, I enjoyed the hell out of this match and show. Um, so on Dynamite, just to add to all of this, the Young Bucks come out and say that they're going to address the TNT title situation. Well, first they gift a Lamborghini to Okada, and he acts like
he
it's the happiest moment of his life,
yes,
which is amazing, by the way.
he
Um,
started crying and he was saying, "I love you guys."
is this real? Is this
Is this
real?
real? Is this real?
Yeah,
Incredible.
it was amazing. Uh, then when they go to address the TNT title situation, they were going to just reward the title to Jungle Boy, which is what kind of everybody predicted would happen. But Christopher Daniels showed up, who they quote unquote fired the week before for standing up to them. And
Hmm.
he has been named an interim executive vice president in storyline and announces the Forbidden Door TNT title thing that we spoke about earlier. There's going to be
Hmm.
multiple singles matches to get into a fatal four-way ladder match. I assume Jack Perry will be one of those participants. I believe Takeshita won his match on Rampage. I believe. I have
Hmm.
to look into that, but I don't remember off the top of my head. Um, but yeah, then the Acclaimed came out. Why? I don't know. Of all the people to come to Christopher Daniels' aid, that is not who I would have picked. Um, FTR, I guess, is running an injury angle right now. Danielson is taking one of his breaks again.
Hmm.
And Darby is hurt, as as talked about earlier. There wasn't anybody else that could come out to help Christopher Daniels.
Nobody.
Nobody else. Ugh.
Incredible.
Um,
This was a decent show. There was definitely there's definitely stuff about it that I did not enjoy.
Yeah, I get it.
There's and there was definitely stuff that I certainly did find enjoyable, right? So it wasn't the best show, certainly wasn't the worst show. Um, it it just I think that they AEW did what they always try their best to do, which is to provide a uh, pleasing assortment of different things that a broad audience would enjoy. Um, and you know, if you found something here that you like, fantastic. I particularly like the Osprey Roderick Strong match.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, there was definitely things that I could have done without as well.
I would say that there was something on this show for everybody and something on this show for nobody.
Yeah, no, for sure. Things that should have been left at home,
Yeah.
perhaps.
Uh, so yeah, going off of that, obviously we're building to Forbidden Door. It is taking place on Long Island, and I will be there.
Nice.
I am very excited about that because it'll be my first AEW pay per view ever. I've only been to Grand Slam 3 times,
Nice.
so I'm happy to go to this and probably put Grand Slam behind me because
Hmm.
I've done it 3 times. I don't need to go again. um, but yeah, I obviously it's not lost on me that I'm gonna get to see Swerve versus Osprey in person. It's just
Hmm.
weird that it's happening at all.
Yeah, well, it's weird that it's not happening. For me, it's weird that it's not happening at Wembley, right? It feels like it's
Yeah,
pulling the trigger a bit too fast. But who knows? Maybe there's a grander plan here that I'm missing.
yeah. So that is gonna do it for us. Keep a lookout for all the other stuff that we're doing. Um, watch the wrestling that you want to watch, not the wrestling
Hmm.
that everybody tells you to watch.
Hmm.
Um, and go to our linktree / going over big time podcast, where you can get all the ways to listen to this show as well as our YouTube social medias for all 3 of us, Alan, myself, Tanner, as well as a Facebook page and a Twitter for the podcast.
Mm.
And that is going to do it for me. Tanner, your parting words.
Uh, keep on watching wrestling, folks. The world's a big, scary place out there. But have no fear. There's always better things around the corner. Um, but if you want to have that little bit of escapism throughout your week, just continue to watch wrestling
And hopefully enjoy it.
and hopefully enjoy it. Uh,
So,
just don't light people on fire.
yeah, don't do that. All right, so that is going to do it for us. Thanks, everybody. Have a good one.